Hello, welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. We had a very eventful weekend with big news coming out that Mathew Stafford got traded to the Rams for Jared Goff, two first rounders and two second rounders. Now, I thought this was a little bit too much. I would have done just one first rounder with a couple of second rounders and Goff. I think the Lions probably would have even accepted that, but good for them for getting another first round against the Rams, um, which apparently the Rams actually had. The Lions actually had better offers than what the Rams are offering, but oh well. So after a trade like this, I like to see who really won the trade. The answer here is clearly the Rams. But also, just because the Rams won does not actually mean that the Lions exactly lost. Hear me out. Let's start off with let's go ahead and start with the Rams side of things first. So most debates have like Mathew Stafford over Jared Goff as far as talent goes, because obviously Goff's been more accomplished by going to the Super Bowl, unlike Stafford. No argument there, but also you can blame Stafford's been with a horrible franchise. But one thing I don't like is that Stafford's not a mobile QB, so kind of like Goff in that way, not the most mobile like a Watson or Lamar or Mahomes. But I feel the part where you get an advantage from Goff is turnovers. I feel like Stafford will turn the ball over less than Goff, and while still being able to play good, not playing overly conservative and getting a lot of yards and touchdowns. And I say the difference of that could be, let's say, 3 or 4 games. I didn't count up exactly to see how many games were lost due to Jared Goff's turnovers, but I can probably estimate like 3 or 4 games were lost, and that's a big difference between being a wildcard team and winning your division. So I feel now as long as Brady is in the NFC, which hopefully is just for at least one more year, then retires. But we'll see, because I know next year's last year's contract, so we'll have to see what happens, especially with the way he's been playing. But as long as Brady's in the NFC, I'm not going to favor anyone else to go to the Super Bowl after what we just won this past year. But I feel like the Rams can now obviously win their division, and then maybe even be better than the Packers to get to that NFC title game to meet the Bucks. So, and then since the Rams have a top 5 defense and all that, and they still got talent on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, they're definitely going to be dangerous. So now it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Now for the Lions, Goff is actually the QB you need, and here's why. Except, like, real quick, I would probably say I might. I mean, if you could tell me Jimmy G's not injured, I might take him over Goff better than that. It's just like Goff is the perfect system QB to do here, and here's why. It's like I know the Lions are kind of rebuilding up. It's just like, do you really want a rookie head coach investing in a rookie QB and then hoping that pans out? Because let's say they draft a rookie QB and it doesn't pan out, then it's going to ruin everything. But now with Goff, it's like, okay, you can get some steady QB play in while you use all your draft picks on good defensive players are going to help you out. And then I just like that they didn't have to make a trade with to get like a Sam Darnold or Drew Lock or something like that, because I feel like that would have been just as bad as drafting a rookie quarterback in my opinion. So I'm glad for Dan Campbell he's going to get a good quarterback to start his career with, especially since I think he's the best. Now I don't think Detroit's going to make the playoffs by any means. I think they could make it interesting maybe, but I think they should improve off last year. If they can get to like 7-9, then I call that a success. But there is a loser though, and here is the loser of the trade. It's the Colts. Here's why. Stafford would have been a perfect QB for the Colts, and that's what the Colts are missing from being just an okay team to a contender. That was undeniable. Now you may say that, oh, well, why can't they just get Watson? Well, Watson and Houston are in the same division as Indianapolis, therefore they're not going to make a trade to their division rival, and Houston's not going to want to see Watson twice a year. They're just not going to do that. So Watson's not going to go there. So therefore now it's like, does Philly finally move on from Carson Wentz, and do you make a trade there so Frank Wright and Wentz can reunite and hopefully create that chemistry they had during Wentz's rookie season? Did they go after free agents like a James Winston, or did they draft like a Mac Jones or trade up in the draft to get a Wilson? Which, by the way, I'd be okay with that. Now, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I do know they do want to experience quarterbacks, so it wouldn't surprise me if they're trying to make a move for Wentz, maybe get that free agent quarterback, like I said. But obviously, whoever they get is not going to be better than Watson or Stafford, like they hoped that I think most fans hope they would get. So I consider them losers right now. What's interesting is they may be thinking, well, other teams are losers because they want Stafford as well. It's like, not really. Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of 49ers would like Stafford, but it's like they still get Jimmy G. I mean, that's better than, I don't know, a Sam Darnold as of right now. Like, that's better than him. Like, you could do worse than Jimmy G. You may be thinking New England, who doesn't even have any quarterbacks behind except Stidham. Like, you may think they lost, but it's like, well, I think New England could still be in the Watson contention. You never know. I don't think at the end of the day you'll get him, but they're still in contention. It's not like Indianapolis where you know, okay, he's not going to get traded to that division type of thing. So, and also Caserio was a former Patriots boy, so you know there's connections there, so you never know. So that's why I say the Colts are losers right now, unless something magical happens as far as their quarterback future goes. So the other day, like Thursday, Friday last weekend, the Texans finally made their hire, and it was not Bieniemy or not Frazier, which were the finalists, but David Culley, the passing game coordinator assistant coach for the Ravens. For this hire, here's my grade. I would give it a D+. Here's why. There are certain coaches like Andy Reid or McVay or Belichick where their coaching trees have produced some good coaches. Harbaugh is one of those coaches I like respect, but you don't see a lot of his coaches succeeding like the others do. So therefore, I'm not sure how that's going to work out. Could Harbaugh be the tone setter for more coaches under him getting jobs and working out? Maybe, but I'm going to guess no right now. Another big thing that he concerns me is that he was the passing game coordinator. Ravens had no passing game. They were number one running offense instead. Also, even if you can teach offense, Houston's main concern at this point actually is their defense. That's why hiring Frazier made more sense there. Also, Culley's like 65 years old. You don't really hire like long-term franchise type of coaches at 65 years old. That means they're most likely going to be a short-term versus long-term solution. So that means you already know he's going to be out the door sooner rather than later. So I just thought it was weird. And then also, you're going to have to go in full rebuild mode. Some coaches are good at rebuilding, while some are better just coaching a contender team. But Culley came from the Ravens, who are usually never in rebuilding mode. So I'm just not sure if he's going to have the experience and be able to handle coaching a rebuilding team, especially for his age and his limited time in the NFL. I'm just not sure of how that's going to work out or not. And then another thing is obviously the division. It's like, if you got to be enemy, and it's like, okay, then depending on how free agency and draft goes, you might be able to give yourself a puncher's chance to still win a division. But it's just like, you still got Ryan Tannehill, Keenan Henry, that Titans offense in the division. Jacksonville's going to be interesting now with Trevor Lawrence most likely and Urban Meyer. So I just feel like you're still, like, right now you went from third place to last place in the division with this hire. Like, that's how bad it is. Hopefully, good luck for him. Hopefully he ends up proving us all around. If not, don't say I told you so. So something I saw on Twitter from a source, I forgot who it was, but I heard that Houston, if they were to give in the Watson trade, because the other day they said they wanted to keep him, but if they were to give in, here is what they're asking for: 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders, and 2 young defensive stars. The last word, stars, is very interesting and quite frankly tricky, because not every team has 2 young defensive stars, and if they do not want to, or if they do, then they're not going to want to trade both of them. Rather give up a first rounder, they give up 2 young defensive stars, if I mean. But now knowing this actually might eliminate some teams from contention that we think we had a very good chance. Let's start with the Jets. They obviously have the picks, but do they have 2 young defensive stars near in their prime? Not from what I saw this year. I'm gonna have to say no on that. So I think that's not gonna happen. Let's look at San Francisco. Having Stafford in division, you can't have the 4th best QB in division. Some people might not be so coloring, but by him, I think Jimmy G is clearly the best quarterback in the division. So they can use an upgrade, but the problem is like is bringing Watson worth getting rid of like an Armstead, Bosa, Fred Warner, giving two of those three players up for Watson? I feel like, especially when that division's really good offensively, so you need really good defenses to contain that. So I feel like the answer there is no, that's not worth it. I'd rather have Jimmy G or Sam Darnold or draft a quarterback at that point. So I feel like they're out. What about New England? Ask yourself this: has Belichick ever given up the farm of picks, like 2 first-round shooters? Has he ever done trades like that? The answer is no, and I don't expect him to all of a sudden now. He would rather go get a Ryan Fitzpatrick for a year or draft Mac Jones and go give up his farm and draft picks. Also, with no weapons, Watson doesn't do much good anyways. Well, now you may say, what about Chicago? They definitely have young fit defensive stars. True, but this is where I feel where Watson will use this no trade clause and veto it because Chicago passed him originally. The GM and coach are close to being gone and not a lot of weapons on offense. And then obviously the cold, windy city. It's not good. And then also Rodgers in the division. So I feel like that's probably going to be a no. What about Carolina? Yes, they're potential underdogs. They spent all their picks on last year's defense. Did you see any good things from Carolina's defense or improvements from Carolina's defense? I'm going to have to say no. So I'm not sure if they're going to risk on if Houston's going to risk on 2 players from Carolina's defense that they think could turn into stars. Well, I think they're looking for more ready-made products right now. So I'm going to have to say no on that. People may say Denver. What about them? Their only 2 big defensive stars, in my opinion, are Chubb and Von Miller, who's not young anymore. And if they give them both up, then they have no defense and no good picks to replace them. Also being in the same division as Mahomes is not great, so they're out. Some people may say the Giants are dark horse contenders, but I don't see that. The Houston's not going to want Daniel Jones, and I don't think they have as many untried defense stars besides maybe the Leonard Williams or something as other teams do. So I think they're out. So now here are my 3 contenders still left after all is said and done. The first is my like I said at the beginning of all this is Miami. They trade 2 of their picks, and then they can give up young defensive stars. And they actually have a lot of them. And Flores is a good defensive coach, so I feel like he can go get some more for agency, or he can come over it scheming-wise. Like, if you can give Xavier Howard at 10 receptions, I think Houston would be all over that. You may only have to give up 1 if you give up Howard for 10 receptions past season. Like, something like that. I feel like Miami is definitely a top 3 option, now more than ever. Another option is the Saints. I know they have cap issues, but they actually have the young defensive stars to trade, like a DeMario Davis, Cam Jordan, Lattimore, and Marcus Williams, stuff like that. So, I mean, I would feel bad for Taysom since he's been patiently waiting his turn to be the starter, but Watson's Watson. For offensive reasons, this is clearly the best place for him to go. The third and last place that is interesting is the Washington football team. They have a loaded defense, so they can offer some young defensive stars, especially on that defensive line. I know they're going to want to keep like Chase Young, but if you have to give him up, you have to give him up. Now, the ownership is the only thing where it's like, I know the ownership's not that great, and that's something Watson may not care for, so he might veto it, but at least the head coach is respectable, and he's good. They're building a good culture there, and also you're going to be one of the easiest divisions, so you can kind of have yourself close to a Brady situation where you can basically lock up the division every year, getting some nice home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. So that's something I was thinking about there. So those are my top 3 options: Miami, New Orleans, and Washington. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say Miami's the best one. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So that's it for today. Please subscribe to my channel. Tell everyone about me. Thank you very much, and y'all have a wonderful day.